What's going on, snipers? Naeem Al-Abaidi here. Hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day today. Let's go ahead and dive right into our daily cryptocurrency content and analytics for today. I am going to be talking about my top 12 coins coming into 2018. I get this question quite often, and currently I am rebalancing my portfolio as well as adding new positions. So if you guys are in our Patreons, I am going to be updating you guys first. A lot of you guys have asked me, hey, do you do any sort of portfolio reviews? I actually went ahead and started a Patreon. As you guys know, we currently have 100 Patreons. Thank you so much for that, guys. But we do have several different tiers here and several different levels and rewards. But for our VIP access, I think we have 2 spots left. If you click Become a Patreon on our Patreon page, you can actually open this up and go into this. So VIP access here, I'm actually going to be doing portfolio reviews, up to 8 portfolios, as well as private access, giving you guys a spot in our special live call on our Discord. Our Discord is actually in the link in the description below. This is a free resource open and available to all of you guys. I get a ton of questions like, how do I get into Discord? You just have to click the link. It's available on your mobile platform and your desktop. Pretty much we have a whole resource open and available for you guys here, all of these trading 101 areas and stuff like that. So anyways, I don't want to talk too much about that right now. I know a lot of you guys have asked me about that, but let's focus on Bitcoin first and foremost. The price, as you can see, is consolidating a little bit, but at the end of the day, what we're seeing here is a descending triangle form. And I do want to mention this as almost like a precautionary step, because at the end of the day, we can see a lot of these patterns form, but this doesn't really say anything about where the price is going. When you see this type of negative trend coming downhill, then you see this, obviously this was a correction, but then you see this little bit of up price, and then now you're seeing a little bit more consolidation. What I'm really looking for at this time is the 50-day moving average around 12,500. I do see that this is where Bitcoin saw a little bit of support. As you can see, we hit triple bottom. RSI went under 30 3 times in a row. If you guys don't know what RSI stands for, that means Relative Strength Index. If you go to our Discord and you go to Trading 101 on top, you can actually read about all the definitions here. But a Relative Strength Index pretty much indicates whether a coin is being overbought or oversold. If it's over 70, it's overbought, and that means that you might want to sell because it might lower in price. If it's under 30, it's more of like a bear market. If you see a coin always under 30, that's a pretty bearish coin right there. And a bear market is not a good market. It's a market filled with pessimism and a lot of people that are worried, and prices typically don't go up. But I don't see that here with Bitcoin. I see RSI is, obviously between 30 and 70. That's a healthy RSI. And what we're seeing right now is we saw that support level, not too strong because it only touched once. But at the end of the day, now we're seeing this kind of level back and forth. So I would say a channel right now would be draw right around this resistance level. Still weak, not necessarily a strong resistance level, but at the end of the day, it's something that we can look at and see if it does form a pattern within this channel here. So I'm definitely going to be watching Bitcoin. I think a lot of the coins will follow ahead of Bitcoin, but let's kind of just dive right into the top 12. So these aren't made in any specific order. I want you guys to understand that the top 12 coins that I'm going to show you guys right now are still coins that I am still making final decisions upon. And once again, if you guys are on our Patreon, we also have an area here where I do the weekly coins here. So I'll send you guys my top picks. I'm going to change this from top 5 to just top picks, because what I do every week is I actually look, and I highly encourage you guys to do the same thing. Every single week, I look at specific coins that I want to watch for that week. And typically, I look for coins that are at least perceived as undervalued and coins that have the technology that I'm looking for behind them so that I can make the trade not only as a trader, but as a value investor. So at the end of the day, those are 2 different types of styles. Value investing is where you're looking for the long term, and then trading is where you're taking advantage of swings. But at the end of the day, you can always incorporate both, especially in a bubble market. You want to make sure, because all of this valuation that we see right now is all based on speculative value, in my opinion. And once again, intrinsic value is what we're looking for. What is the tangible value of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and Litecoin and so forth? So the speculative value is not the true value. And at the end of the day, we have to be very careful in a market like this, which is why I have my stop loss orders set up for all of my Bitcoin purchases. I have been putting little purchases here and there. If you guys are, I think this is for our trade alerts. You guys know that I am trading constantly a little bit of Bitcoin. I'm buying some Bitcoin. I'm also buying a lot of Ethereum right now because I'm going to talk about this in just a second. But I am going to make a specific video based upon all of these picks that I'm showing you guys. But at the end of the day, guys, always be cautious. I implore each and every one of you guys to just kind of come up with your own principles when trading. Don't just kind of follow somebody's rule or follow one person. Just take perspectives from each and every place. My mentor taught me this, and he said his one of my mentors, his name is Yazan. He actually had a very successful ICO named the Dribble Network, and he's the one that actually influenced this decision-making pattern that I have in trading. And actually, it's funny we mention him right now because the coins I'm going to show you guys right now are coins that him and I kind of had conversations about. And obviously, since he's in the ICO game, he's deep into it. He's delved all of his life and dedicated everything towards his ICO and his company. And they're based in New York. He's had a lot of fun with it. But at the end of the day, he knows what he's talking about. In my opinion. So I love hearing from credible sources, of course, especially somebody that's had success already. So as you can see, these are all the coins here. Pretty much my top 12 right now that I'm looking at pretty much branches all the way up to the top 50. I think there may be one that is just past it. But let's go ahead and just kind of dive right into it and delve right into it. I'm going to just graze over them. Once again, we'll do a specific video for each one on this channel. So just stay tuned for that. But Ethereum, number one. Once again, this isn't in any specific order, but I really like Ethereum. I'm really liking where Ethereum is going. The fact that all of these ICOs are based upon ERC 2.0 tokens for the most part. A lot of companies, they do have their own blockchain. But I think Ethereum, the way that Yazan put it for me was really interesting. I was having a conversation about Ethereum with him, and he said, you got to understand, Naeem, Ethereum is the most diversified asset class in cryptocurrency because you have all of these companies running on the ERC 2.0 tokens. Therefore, the company's valuations also add to Ethereum's valuations and the stability and long-term valuation of Ethereum. And what that meant was you see all of these other coins running off of Ethereum. So at the end of the day, Ethereum is the backbone. It's like the Linux of these coins. It's the backbone of what's holding everything together. So in my opinion, I see myself long with Ethereum. I see Ethereum becoming almost like the Microsoft of this generation and this decade, because at the end of the day, we are looking at the next generation. What is this technology going to do in 5 years or 10 years? Don't just look short term, look long term. So Ethereum is definitely a big pick for me for 2018. Let's move to Verge. A lot of you guys know I made a video on Verge. It's Monero's competitor, and you've got all these other privacy coins, PIVX, and so forth, trying to get into the privacy coin game. But what I like about Verge is the fact that, number one, it was undervalued. Now you see this huge parabolic increase in price. And something I look for in these charts, I try to find charts that don't have as much distortion, because that could indicate a possible breakout in the future, especially if the technology is good, everything makes sense. That's a good investment. I do have a couple of those coins that we'll talk about today in this top 12. But with Verge, I really like the fact that they use I2P integration when they're masking their IP addresses. And what's really cool about it is they are now incorporating the private ledger that Monero is famous for into their coin as well, but giving you the option to use a public ledger or a private ledger. Now, if you guys don't know what that means, you can look at every coin and see where's the rich list, which wallet address is holding the most amount of that coin. And with Monero, you can't do that. With Verge, you can. But eventually with Verge, you're going to have both options, which is why I like Verge, because Monero is around a $5-6 billion market cap. Verge is just under that $3 billion, so there's potential for it to increase in size as well, as long as privacy coins continue to become that niche. And I think as a niche, it is something that a lot of people are willing to pay that premium for, having the privacy. So Verge is definitely on my list. Of course, the Mama Jamma Bitcoin, it takes up 43.6% of the market. This is definitely a coin that I obviously have in mind. It's not a coin that I'm just going to, put on the back burner. But at the end of the day, does it truly have intrinsic value? That's the real question. So I'm interested to see what happens in 2018 with Bitcoin compared to coins that do have a lot of intrinsic value already, like Ethereum, because it's obviously running a lot of platforms. So Bitcoin is right there. Ripple, of course, everybody's talking about Ripple. It actually has use cases right now in the actual marketplace. As you can see, over 200 banks are using Ripple. The Japanese, transactions, 70% of Japanese transactions touch the Ripple net in some way, shape, or form. So obviously there's adoption already, but the only difference with Ripple is it takes a different approach. It's centralized, and it's centralized in a specific manner in which most cryptocurrencies aren't built the way that Ripple is built, but they do utilize the technology of blockchain when incorporating their technology into these other banks. And what I really like about Ripple is the fact that it is already targeting banks. And banks, in my opinion, they may want centralization because that gives them control. So Ripple is definitely on my list. But what's cool about Ripple is the person who started Ripple actually forked it and then started his own called Stellar. And Stellar is also on my list because the individual that did, I look at the team and I'm like, you know what? Has this person or has this team had success in the past? And the founder of Stellar, who started Ripple, obviously Ripple has been successful, number one. Number two, he started one of the largest exchanges that isn't around anymore, Mt. Gox. A lot of you guys have heard of it. Number three, if you look at his history back prior to 2000, he actually sold a file sharing company for a lot of money, made a ton of money. I think he might still have it. I don't think he sold it, but he built it, and it's still going today. So he's had success. I like to see that when I'm putting my valuations in terms of what my position's going to be. And I don't think this graph is as distorted as it could be. As you can see, it's not as parabolic as you saw with Verge. So at the end of the day, I definitely see Ripple as being an indicator or a future coin that could rise in value as well as valuation along with Ripple and Stellar. So QTUM, right? What is QTUM? Everybody's like, well, why are you talking about QTUM? I think QTUM, it's almost like, I would compare it to like NEO, but at the end of the day, I think QTUM, if you look at the GitHub versus NEO, it's way more advanced in my opinion. It takes a way better approach. And it's just like Ethereum. The same reason I like Ethereum is the same reason I like QTUM. I think it has a really good approach with what it wants to do. And I think as a competitor of NEO, I think it can really start taking a market capitalization. I don't know too much about NEO's team because it is based, I believe, in South Korea or Singapore, and it's people that I've never heard of. But QTUM has a very strong team from what I've seen, and we'll kind of rush through the rest of these. The next one is OMG, Omnis Go. A lot of you guys don't talk too much about OMG, but I'm definitely going to make a video on OMG. That's definitely one of my next picks. The reason I like OMG is the fact that, in my opinion, it's still not valued as high as it could be because you can see this graph. This is an all-time graph. It's not distorted whatsoever. You don't see some crazy parabolic gains yet. So it could definitely be also an undervalued coin, and I also believe with what they're trying to accomplish as well. So that's another coin that I am watching for my portfolio. Next up, you've got Cardano ADA, of course. Everybody knows about Cardano, wants to be the next Ethereum, building smart contract applications on. And I also think this chart is not as distorted as it could be. I think this could be undervalued. I think we could definitely see some higher prices fairly soon. I like how it's holding towards Bitcoin's price right now, and it's done that in the past. It continues to hold its price against BTC and Satoshis, which I like about Cardano. Obviously, you see some minor fluctuations here and there in terms of volatility. So next up is EOS. EOS, I like this because, once again, not too much distortion here. I still feel like this may be undervalued. It's a rank 12. I can definitely see it in the rank 10 spot fairly soon. I like the fact that EOS has a strong team behind it as well. So we'll make a video on that. 10X is another coin. You guys, I don't know if you've heard of 10X, but I've looked into 10X. I still think this is undervalued. As you can see, chart looks beautiful. The coin itself is awesome. The team behind it is awesome, and I can't wait to make a video about that. Next up is NEM. NEM is, of course, a very popular one. You can see that it did have a little bit of a breakout, but I still feel like there's still more valuation that can be placed under NEM in terms of what the technology brings to the table and the speed of the technology itself. And then lastly, I'm sorry, I said first and then lastly, but lastly, Electroneum. You guys know what I love about Electroneum, the fact that it's universal. They want to allow you to mine digital currency on your phone, your Xbox, anything that has processing power. And they're very, very big with, trying to get into the gaming industry, which they're already setting up specific contracts and attempting to have some use cases to really be the leader in what they're trying to accomplish. They're also in the top 50. They had a very successful ICO. As you can see, prices have been maintaining around the 9-10 cent area. You've seen some fluctuations, but I think it's just people dumping their coins. So I'm really looking at Electroneum over the long term. I think it does have a lot of potential. And it is undervalued. So I am starting to look more into the back end of the coins, not necessarily the top coins, but looking at the coins that are, just not as valued as what they're truly, valued to become. So once again, guys, if you guys want more in-depth information, get on our Discord. You can become a Patreon and get more in-depth analysis from me because I get so many requests. So it was necessary for me to start something like that. But other than that, I do want to say thank you all so much for helping us reach 8,000 subscribers. I think we're approaching 9 now, and it's just been an amazing amount of growth. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys. The goal is to just build a community that can thrive off of value and not not have people feel oppressed. I want this community to be open and agile and transparent. And I think we're building that right now with Discord and what we have going on. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this community. Thank you so much for watching this video. Happy holidays to all of you guys celebrating with friends and families. Enjoy your time. And until next time, we'll have a live stream tonight. It's going to be exciting like always. And we have our video in the daytime tomorrow coming up as well. And with that being said, guys, that's it for today. Snipers out.